Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Lesser. This is my first semester at Fort Hays State University. The first time I'm taking two classes concurrently. I took just one class before spring break, and so we'll see how this works out while I'm teaching full time. Right now, I do teach at Salina South High School. In fact, I've been there for the past 7 years. This year, I'm teaching Earth and Space Science as well as Principles of Engineering. It's the middle class within our engineering pathway here in Salina. In the past, I've taught physics, physical science, chemistry, as well as basic drafting and engineering design and development. Those last two classes are the other two classes within our engineering pathway, and they actually all go through a company called Project Lead the Way. We use it as our curriculum that we base off a lot of the stuff that we do in class off of. As far as technology strengths and weaknesses, obviously with those classes, especially the engineering classes, we use technology fairly frequently. In fact, right now in Principles of Engineering, we're looking at a lot of programming, working with Robot C and different robotics materials. We use what's called VEX Robotics. It's based, I always like to think about like Legos for grown-ups, more or less. But it's cool to be able to see the students and how they're working with programming, and some of them will have a background walking into it, but most of them are basically learning a foreign language as they're getting started. And it's always interesting to see how some of that clicks and then some of it they'll struggle with. But obviously through stuff like that, I'm fairly confident working with those materials, as well as just typical classroom things. We have a Promethean board in each of our classrooms here at Salina South High School. As far as weaknesses, one of the biggest weaknesses I would say that I have is that I hesitate using something unless I feel very confident about it. For instance, for the programming that we're doing right now, if I did not feel confident with being able to troubleshoot and figure out maybe where an error in their code is or an error with the program that we're using in general, I would probably be tempted to avoid it, just because I like to have an understanding of how stuff's working so I can help kids out if they get stuck. Right now, that does kind of hinder me in trying new things in some cases. So I'm hoping that through these master's classes, I'll have some time to be able to work with some new things and hopefully just learn a little bit more about those resources that are available to make more impactful learning for my students. More specifically, one of the things that I would hope to be able to use a little bit more in my classes would be online labs, especially for students who are absent. Looking outside now, the spring weather coming through, and I'm thinking spring sports means baseball, softball, and track, and these kids are going to be leaving early in the day. And if we have any labs, just trying to make up the time for them to come in and keep up with stuff. So having some other kind of tricks up my sleeve or some other things that would work well for them, I look forward to being able to develop stuff like that at least. Anyway, that's enough about me. So I look forward to getting to know about each of you and working with you folks throughout the semester, and I hope it goes well.